Welcome to this episode of Careers Takeoff, where we learn the very latest about how you can get ahead in your career. I'm your host, Conrad Chua. Now, most business school graduates are thinking of starting a company after they've graduated. On today's show, we have two entrepreneurs who've done exactly that, and they'll tell you the real story of entrepreneurship. If you've got questions about the entrepreneurship journey, pop them in the comments and we'll answer them at the end. Now, first, we have Nahush Sathe, who has a great career in digital marketing after his MBA, but he has a secret love. It's coffee, specifically South Indian coffee. So he and some of his MBA classmates started a company called Kaapi. And to give you an idea, what's the experience of drinking Kaapi, let's watch this short clip. So I've got one set for myself right here. It's brewing. And by the end of this episode, I should have a nice cup of coffee to enjoy. So welcome, Nahush.
Hey, thank you, Conrad. I'm a pleasure to be here.
We also have with us Jackie Gilbert, who had a very successful career in consulting before she did her MBA. But Jackie faced a big problem, and that was there was no good bag for women consultants. Everything was either too big or nothing could really fit a laptop or all the other stuff that consultants carry. And anything that could, like a backpack, just screamed, I'm a consultant. So she and a co-founder designed, manufactured, and sold a new line of bags right here in Cambridge. So welcome, Jackie. Oh, Jackie, you're on mute.
There we go. Someone will be playing a game where that gets said. Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Great. And Jackie, you actually have one of your bags here to show us.
I do. Do you want to see it now?
Yeah.
So we make beautiful bags that make you credible in front of a CEO or in the boardroom. But then when you're on the commute, it's a beautiful backpack. So I have one here, which is in a backpack mode at the moment. So you can tell it looks like any other beautiful leather backpack that you can buy. But we have patented technology, which we designed in Cambridge ourselves, where you split the back handle really simply and connect it to the other handle. So these are the two back handles. So now you have the back of your bag, you connect it together at the top. Now you have your back handle, and then you reach into the front pocket and pull out this front handle. And now you have a beautiful, stylish briefcase. And the other handles have disappeared into the bag. So we've just won a European Product Design Award for that invention. It's patented. And then we now have two new products out as well, which I can show you later on.
Thanks very much, Jackie. It's almost like the Transformers of bag, but much better looking.
It is.
So a reminder to people watching, you can post your questions in the comments and we'll answer them at the end. But let's get things rolling. First with Nahush. I understand you started the company just earlier this year. So what was it like starting a company in the midst of a pandemic?
Yeah, you're right. We started thinking about the business idea only mid-August, and we launched our website towards the end of October. So it's been about 4 months since we started thinking about it and 6 weeks since we launched live. So yeah, I would say it was challenging in the sense that there was a lot of uncertainty around. We really didn't know what to expect. We didn't know how the market would react. But at the same time, we took that on as an adventure almost, and a controlled experiment, in the sense that we knew we had a solid product. We knew we had a solid business plan. It was all about being on our feet, executing it in the most agile way possible, and learning from our mistakes as we went on.
Great. Jackie, your company was already growing before the pandemic hit. And yesterday, I just popped into your shop, which you opened about a week ago here in Cambridge. So why did you think about opening a physical store at a time when everybody seems to be going from bricks to clicks?
Well, we already have the clicks, but I think that there's a place for retail in the customer journey. So if you want to learn more about the brand or experience the brand, or many people want to come in and touch the leathers and see the quality that we've invested in these bags. So we have a really strong online presence. What we found is that by setting up an experience, so you come into the store, we share about the journey, we show our first prototypes, which are hilarious. One of them is the ugliest bag you've ever seen. We take the customer through the whole journey so you can really understand what it takes to A, build a business, and B, create award-winning products. So it's more complementary to our clicks with our bricks.
So I wanted to talk a bit about how both your companies got started. So first, Nahush, there's so many consumer problems out there. Why did you zero in on South Indian coffee as a problem to solve?
Sure. So this started with a personal need. So I ran out of my South Indian coffee in the midst of everything that's been happening over the past few months. And around summer, I tried to source coffee locally in the UK, and I struggled. I couldn't get anything online. I couldn't find anything in a brick and mortar shop. And that got me thinking, if I'm facing this problem, I'm sure thousands of other people are. I'm hardly unique. And that's where I saw a market opportunity. And then I discussed this with my co-founders. And then that's where we started thinking about, hey, let's launch this. Let's see where this goes.
And Jackie, you were in Nahush's position maybe, 5 years ago. Can you share with us, how did your company, Beaudurof, really start to take off?
So I founded the company when I was studying at the Cambridge Business School. And I think Cambridge is infectious with its entrepreneurial spirit. It gives you these ideas that you can achieve anything, and that's what I caught. When the business took off was, we were always taught at the Judge that you needed to get your first prototype out there. Don't worry about failure, fail fast, learn, and then iterate. I can't tell you how many times Judge taught me that. And interestingly enough, our very first customer was waiting for a taxi outside her office with one of our early prototypes. And a woman walked up to her and said, "Oh my goodness, your bag is beautiful. Where's it from?" And she said it was from Beaudurof. And we made it into Vogue. That woman was a writer for Vogue. And then our relationship with Vogue has strengthened. They've put us in their global It Bag Index. So we've been rated the top bag for female professionals. The bag that will get you through the working week is what they call it. And then we've gone on to be in their September issue this year, which is a big fashion issue. So getting your prototype out early, not being afraid to just, take a risk and go for it can really pay off.
So Nahush, did you also have to go through this process of prototyping and iteration and development?
Not in the strictest sense of the word. So because I've been consuming this coffee for many years now, I sort of knew the kind of coffee I would want to bring into the UK. I did have to talk to multiple vendors just to get a sense of what the brassware would look like, how we would be able to package it all together. So that's where we iterated a bit. but not prototyping in the sense of your typical product development cycle.
Okay. Just a reminder to viewers, you can pop questions in the comments. But I now wanted to move to the issue of building a team, because we talk a lot about entrepreneurship, and there are all these ideas, these romantic stories about the lone person going forward. But I know from both of you that wasn't the case. You really had to tap on the people you knew and build that team. First, Naush, how did you go about building a team or a network of people that would help you get this idea off the ground?
So it all starts with the bunch of people I came to know of when I joined Cambridge and then kept in touch with, and then we happened to be work colleagues and friends. So Hamza Mudassir, who's an alum from, I think, 2015 or so, he hired us all into the tech firm that we were all working at after the MBA. So Nim, Khushbu, and I started working together in 2018. And we were very comfortable with each other's working styles. We knew the strengths each of us brought to the table. We knew each other's weaknesses and how to sort of get an overlap to make sure we didn't fail. So that's how we were always in touch since then. And when I thought of this idea, I approached them, and they were excited to be a part of it. And Hamza came on board as a mentor.
And then how did your different skills sort of complement each other?
So yeah, Khushbu has been working on marketing for the better part of her career. Nim has had exposure to marketing. She is excellent with creative direction, again, something that she's picked up as part of her past experiences. I am good at pricing, strategy. Hamza's good at overall strategy and providing a vision for businesses. So there was a good set of skills and a very complementary fit among what we brought to the table.
Cool. And Jackie, I know from speaking to you before that you really tapped into all your networks of friends, university contacts, etc. Can you tell us a bit about how you got off the ground with the help of the people around you?
Absolutely. So I co-founded this business with my water polo captain, actually, from Cambridge. We're very different people in that she has a great eye for detail. I'm very big picture. She's slightly more pessimistic and realistic, and I'm more of a dreamer. And so there's a natural tension there that actually really works well for us. And I think that's sort of our special sauce, even though it's not always easy. Yeah, I guess ultimately trust each other and have created this beautiful product. And then in order to achieve what we've achieved, I mean, it took us 3 years to even get our product to market. When we went to the industry, they said what we were trying to invent was a miracle and it couldn't be done. And we were naive to think that they were wrong. And we were lucky that we had enough people around us who were invested in giving it a go. And I think, again, that's Cambridge's magic, is that people are willing to challenge norms and have a go at things. We are part of Idea Space, which is I think managed by the engineering school at the university, which is great because it gave us access into really high qualified, brilliant minds in terms of the engineering side of things. And then we also do all our prototype locally at the Make Space, which has like laser engravers and vacuum formers and all the sort of tools that you could dream of as an entrepreneur trying to make a product. And then, of course, the Cambridge network. So everybody in my MBA class would be the perfect person in terms of one element of the business. So we tapped in really strongly and just weren't afraid to ask for help. And people have been very, very generous with their time. We're really lucky.
How did you manage that sort of tension, between, you mentioned that creative tension, but I must imagine that there were times when it became quite frustrating for the founder.
I think ultimately we respect each other's position, and we also recognize the value that the other person brings. And I know that we would not be as good a company or have achieved anything without my co-founder, Fran. And similarly, I think she feels the same. I hope she does. And I think you learn very quickly that you can't do everything yourself. And when you look at the top accelerators around the world, like Y Combinator, for example, they won't actually take individual entrepreneurs. So they're always looking for people who can form teams and bring different elements into a business proposition. So yeah, sometimes it's tough, but ultimately, if you respect each other and you have that common vision and common goal, then that's bigger than any kind of tensions that arise.
Cool. I wanted to ask both of you. Obviously, right now there's a pandemic. There's a huge amounts of uncertainty for economies, societies, and for individuals. I can imagine quite a lot of people who had ideas or dreams about starting companies, thinking to themselves, "Is this the right time to do it?" What's your advice for people who are thinking about starting a company or who've already started a company and wondering what to do right now during these strange times that we live in?
Jackie, go first. You have far more experience.
just a bit further down the road, I think. So I can't remember the stat, but there is something around the number of companies that are now in the Fortune 500 that were started at various financial crises. For us, what we've found is that it's created room in the market. So where there was a lot of noise that was sort of distracting our customer and pulling them in different directions, those companies with a really good proposition and kind of really strong fundamentals now have the space to shine. And an example of that is that we've opened our first store in Cambridge. We wouldn't have had that opportunity if the pandemic hadn't happened, because there were a lot of companies that were sort of struggling along. They hadn't really innovated, they hadn't adapted their product model, and this push has pushed them over the edge. For us, it's done the opposite. It's pushed our customers towards us because we offer something that they really value. So it's tough, but it also does create room for innovation.
And Nahush, what about your experiences and advice?
Sure. So I have 3 things from the 3 months that I've been part of my own business. So the first thing I would say is make sure you have your A team around you, your morale boosters, your manpower, and your money. But without these 3 things, you can't really move forward. And often in the last 3 months, I've realized that you need all 3. It's not a case of, oh yeah, you have to, and then therefore things work out. They don't. So make sure you have your A team around you. Make sure you identify who your pillars of strength are. Second thing is have a very good sense of your worst case scenario. It's so easy to fail, and you have these sort of small failures every week almost. So it's very important to make sure you know what the worst case scenario looks like. Yes, by all means aim for the stars, but have a sense of how rough the gravel is if you hit the ground. And the third thing is just do it. I mean, go for it. If you don't do it today, then you're probably not going to do it tomorrow, and it might never happen. So just take the plunge and figure things out as you move along.
It's quite interesting how you mentioned that this idea of being optimistic, preparing for the worst, but also being optimistic at the same time, because that's obviously a key ingredient for any entrepreneur. Jackie, how do you find that sort of inner strength, or find that strength to keep going on? Because you mentioned it took such a long time, 3 years, was it, to get your bag from the prototype to what it is today?
I mean, it's really tough. I don't want to sugarcoat it. And I think that we hear that being an entrepreneur is tough before you are one, and it doesn't really resonate what that means necessarily. But I think because I was the customer, I know that there was a need for the product, because I was a consultant who really, really worked hard, and I needed my ideas to speak louder than anything else about me. And so to do that, I needed tools that immediately conveyed credibility, and they just didn't exist. So because I believe in that mission so much, it gives me the purpose, I guess, both on an emotional level. I love the idea that people can carry our products and feel really proud and certain that no matter who they're around, the quality and functionality speaks for itself. And then from a business sort of career mindset, I also really believe that there's a gap in the market for this, because I am the customer and I really needed it. And then luckily for us, the numbers speak strongly for us too, and we are actually making the sales. So it's slow growth because we haven't gone down the venture capital route. So we've been bootstrapping, but what we're finding is that really loyal customer base is building up stronger and stronger, and it's actually putting us in a really great position. So, yeah, and also I'm an optimist. I think that helps. I think you have to believe in positivity and in a nice future, or it's just overwhelming.
So both of you, interestingly, you started off as your first customer, right? Because you experienced the problem, whether it's not being able to get the coffee or not being able to get the bag, and then you started to think, okay, how can you solve that and try to find the customers around this? Jackie, I wanted to ask, what advice would you give to, say, Nahush right now, who's just starting off? How do you get from just having a solution to solve your own individual problem to expanding that customer base and to make that a viable business going forward?
Well, I think he's already hit the nail on the head with his marketing, because I looked at that coffee ad when you were first starting and I was like, oh, that looks delicious and also novel and fun. I mean, it's so fun to experience coffee rather than just be handed one across from a chain, which is typically what it is. Advice, I mean, the big thing that I'd get comfortable with was failing fast. I think when you're coming from a corporate, you have a little bit more time to make things perfect, and people expect things to be at a really high standard. I'll never forget when we first started. So I came from strategy consulting, and I made this most beautiful PowerPoint about our strategy, and it was perfect. And I remember one of our mentors saying to me, Jackie, you're the CEO, so who on earth are you showing this PowerPoint to? Like, you could have written this on a napkin and saved yourself a week of work. So I think the danger of coming from a corporate background is perfection and over-analysis. And I think what I've had to unlearn is that, and I've had to relearn just making things happen. There is no hierarchy. You can go for it, and your competitive advantage is to try, fail, and learn, and then really listen to the customer and what they're telling you.
That does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, sorry, Nahush, I was going to ask whether you had any questions.
No, I was just going to say that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, we've clearly experienced that in the 3 months we've been around. And another thing is you can really move fast. In a sort of hierarchy, you need to get those clearances, you need to get sign-offs, whereas with a small setup, you can think about something in the morning and execute it in the afternoon.
And on that point, actually, Nahush, I wanted to ask you specifically, because you're working in a corporate right now, as well as doing having this business. How do you balance the two?
I sleep a lot less.
Okay,
but
coffee must help, right?
Of course. No, but on a serious note, yes, I have a regular 9-to-5 job, so to say, and it's rarely 9 to 5; it's more like 9 to 7. But I am surrounded by a very solid support system in my co-founders, my partner, my co-founders' partners. So and the friends we are surrounded with. So I always have someone to lean on, as and when we need to get things done. And that, I would say, is our biggest strength at this point in time in terms of operationalizing our business. So yeah, sleep a lot less, get help from as many people as you can, and just keep moving.
Cool. Any last things that you want to, either one of you want to share about the whole entrepreneurial journey?
I would say that it's worth it, but that it's hard. I remember one of my mentors saying to me that if I stayed in management consulting, there was a very good chance that in terms of my personal profitability, that would pay off more. So one thing that I would be wary of is you can't do it for the money because it's too hard and you'll quit. You need to choose to be an entrepreneur because you believe in what you're doing, and then hopefully the financial rewards or whatever it is that motivates you will come. But for me personally, it's been one of the most amazing but difficult but incredible roller coaster experiences. I don't regret it at all. And I would encourage anyone, especially the women out there, because we don't have enough female founders, to give it a go. And you're always welcome to reach out to me and get in touch. I'm quite easy to find on LinkedIn, and just drop a message and ask any questions, and I'll do my best to get back to you. But have a go, and don't be afraid of failure, because through failure we succeed.
Yeah, I think, Jackie, you've pretty much captured everything I would have said. But all I would add on to that is just don't be too passionate about your idea, because it's your idea. You tend to believe in it a little too much sometimes. So it makes sense to listen to someone else, use people as a sounding board, be objective about it as much as you can, and trust other people. People you surround yourself by are as smart as you are, and they can take the right decisions. So learn to sort of be a little less passionate about it if possible.
And Conrad, I'm sure we both would say this. Cambridge, of course, neither of us mentioned it, but it's an incredible ecosystem. You get here, you're surrounded by these brilliant minds, those who have come before us and those you're surrounded with. The networks are amazing. It's just, it's a community that really lifts you. And so if you've got entrepreneurial tendencies, it's a great place to choose.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's I take it for granted to a point where I don't mention it. But I can't remember the number of times I've reached out to classmates with half-baked ideas about Kaapi, or shown them creatives, or got real-time feedback just to say, hey, does this make sense? Do you think this is going to fly? And the amount of rich feedback that I've got from my class, from mentors, from other parts of the Cambridge ecosystem has been brilliant. And I don't think we would have been half as close to where we are today had we not had that level of support.
Well, thank you very much for those great insights. And if people watching are looking for any sort of gifts, because we're recording this just before the holiday period, check out Kaapi and Beaudurof. So first of all, if you're looking for Beaudurof, this is the URL to go to. Or if you're actually living in the Cambridge area, just go down to the Grand Arcade. They've got a great location. It's a great shop. And you can it's a great experience, because you go in, you actually can meet the founders behind the shop. So I definitely highly recommend it to you. And then for the coffee drinkers out there, yes, you can try kaapi.co.uk, which is right there. And that's really all the time we have for today. Careers Takeoff is going to be taking a break for the holidays, but we'll be back in January. And the only thing left for me, really, and I think Nahush as well, is thank our guest. And then I think I have to brew this. I think Nahush, you're more adept at this.
Yeah, sure. So I have these two things.
I'm supposed to pour milk and then just mix it around, like in the video.
I can do that. Don't worry about it. So I have the Tawara and the tumbler.
All right, we'll watch the expert do this.
All right, and I have some coffee here, which I'm going to pour into Tawara with some milk and sugar. And then the real fun bit is mixing it around. And that's the experiential aspect of the coffee. Like Jackie said, it's much better than having someone hand you a cup over the counter. So then the deal is to pour it back and forth and not spill it. And I hope I don't. And yeah, that's your coffee.
Okay, I'm gonna try this later on when I don't have like electronic equipment.
Sure thing.
On the same table. But thanks very much, Nahush and Jackie. All the best for your respective companies, and have a good holiday season for both of you. I know how important the holiday season is for retailers. And to our viewers, have a safe and enjoyable holiday. We'll be back in January.
Thanks a lot for having us.